I can't believe you're late again. I laughed over the phone, stirring my coffee. Daniel, I swear you live on your own time zone. He chuckled. I'm finishing something at work, Lena. Give me 30 minutes. Fine, but you're buying dinner, I teased. His laughter was warm, familiar. I smiled, not knowing it would be the last time it felt that way. Minutes later, another call came through Claire. I answered. Hey, traitor. You disappeared all week. Her voice sounded breathless. Oh, Lena? I hold on. Then faintly, I heard his voice. Daniel's. My heart stuttered. Claire? I whispered. Was that Daniel? Silence. Then a panicked click. She hung up. I froze. My fingers trembled around the phone. Maybe it was a coincidence. Maybe Daniel stopped by to ask her something. I dialed her again. No answer once, twice. Then I called Daniel. He picked up on the second ring. Hey babe, where are you? My voice cracked. Still at work, he said smoothly. Why? A sharp pain tightened my chest. Really? Because I just heard your voice at Claire's place. He paused. One heartbeat, two. You must have misheard. Daniel, don't lie to me. He exhaled sharply. Fine, I'm here. But it's not what you think. Then tell me what it is, I said, already grabbing my keys. Because right now I can't think of anything worse. Lena, don't. He hung up. The drive to Claire's apartment felt endless. Every red light was a punishment. My mind replayed every smile, every promise, every I love you he'd whispered. Each one burned. When she opened the door, her hair was messy, her eyes wide. Lena, wait, is he here? My voice was ice. Please, just listen. Where is he, Claire? I pushed past her. The air smelled like his cologne. My knees almost buckled. Daniel stepped out of the bedroom, shirt half buttoned. Lena, I laughed. It was sharp and broken. Wow, no explanations needed. He ran a hand through his hair. It just happened, okay? We didn't plan it. Didn't plan it? My voice cracked. You didn't plan to betray me with my best friend? Claire's lips quivered. Lena, I didn't mean you didn't mean? I turned to her. You were at my house last week, crying about your breakup. I held your hand, Claire. And the whole time you were sleeping with my boyfriend? Tears slid down her face. I didn't want to hurt you. Then why did you? She opened her mouth, but no sound came out. Daniel tried to step closer. Lena, I'm sorry. It just got complicated. Complicated? I whispered. You told me I was your future. He looked away. People change. People don't change that fast, I snapped. They just show who they really were all along. For a long second, no one spoke. The ticking clock filled the room. My hands shook so violently I had to grip the doorframe. Claire whispered, Please don't hate me. I stared at her, this girl who once knew all my secrets. I don't hate you, Claire, I said quietly. I just don't know you anymore. Daniel stepped forward again. Let me explain. Explain what? I shot back. That you lied every day? That you held me while dreaming of her? He winced. It wasn't like that. Then what was it? I demanded. Tell me. He said nothing. Just stared, ashamed or maybe annoyed that I caught him. That silence was louder than any confession. Finally, I whispered, I loved you. Both of you. You were my world. My throat burned. And now I don't even know why I'm still standing here. Claire sobbed. Lena, please. No, I said firmly. You don't get to cry. Not for this. I turned to Daniel. I hope she was worth it. He looked guilty for a moment, then defensive. You're overreacting. The words hit like a slap. Overreacting? I laughed bitterly. You destroyed 5 years of my life. Forgive me for being dramatic. He muttered, I didn't mean to hurt you. But you did, I whispered. And you will live with that. I walked toward the door, every step heavier than the last. Claire called after me, voice breaking. Please, Lena, don't go like this. I didn't turn around. There's no other way to go. The night air hit me like ice when I stepped outside. My chest felt hollow, my world silent. I sank against my car, tears spilling freely. For the first time, I felt something inside me die, the version of me that believed love could never lie. I wiped my face, started the car, and whispered to myself, "It's over." All of it. The city lights blurred through my tears. I didn't know where I was going, only that I couldn't stay where my heart had shattered. That night, I drove until dawn until I was far enough away to finally whisper, "I'll never let them break me again." Asterisk, Lena, you need to eat something. My mom's voice broke through the silence. "I'm not hungry," I muttered, staring at the untouched plate in front of me. "You've said that for 3 days," she sighed. "You can't keep doing this to yourself." "I'm fine," I whispered, even though my body ached and my throat felt like sandpaper. She sat across from me. "You're not. I know what it's like to be betrayed, but starving yourself won't heal you." I laughed bitterly. "You don't know what it's like, Mom. You didn't walk in on your best friend wearing your boyfriend's shirt." Her eyes softened. "Then tell me what it's like." "It's like dying," I said quietly. "But you don't get the mercy of actually dying. You just keep waking up to the same nightmare." She reached for my hand, but I pulled away. "I just need time." "Fine," she whispered. "But promise me you won't give up." When she left the room, the silence returned, heavy and cruel. I picked up my phone, even though I promised myself I wouldn't look. And there it was, Claire's new post. "Can't believe I get to love my best friend's ex." Fate works in strange ways. My stomach turned. The comments were full of hearts and fake congratulations. I wanted to throw my phone across the room. Instead, I typed a message to her. "Me, you really had to post that?" She replied instantly, "You don't own him, Lena. Move on." Move on. The words made my blood boil. "Me, you think I care about him now? You can have the liar. I just hope you know what kind of man he is. Claire, at least he's honest with me." I stared at the screen until my vision blurred. I typed one last thing. "He was honest with me too. Until you showed up." Then I blocked her. A knock at the door made me jump. It was Maya, my coworker and friend. She looked at me frowning. "You look awful." "Thanks," I said dryly. "I mean it in the nicest way possible," she said, stepping inside. I heard what happened. "Claire's been showing off like she won some prize." "Yeah, the prize is a liar," I muttered. She sat beside me. "You should come back to work. Staying in this room isn't helping." "I can't face anyone," I said. "They'll all look at me like I'm pathetic." "No," she said softly. "They'll look at you like you survived." Her words stung. "I don't feel like I survived." "You did. You just haven't noticed yet." I looked away. He told me I was everything he ever wanted. 5 years, Maya, 5 years gone in one phone call. She leaned forward. "So don't let it be wasted. Let it be the reason you start over." I let out a shaky laugh. "You make it sound easy." "It's not," she said. "But you can't heal while replaying their betrayal. You've got to make them irrelevant." I stared at the wall, the air heavy between us. "I don't know who I am without them." "Then find out," she said. "That's how you win." Something in her tone hit deep. I finally nodded. "Maybe you're right." "I am right," she smiled. "And when you're ready, we're burning every photo of him." I cracked a small smile. "That actually sounds fun." "Good, you'll bring the matches." After she left, I sat by the window, watching the sun fade behind the buildings. The ache in my chest hadn't gone away, but something small shifted a quiet anger. A pulse of strength beneath the pain. I whispered to myself, "They think they broke me." My reflection in the glass looked back. "Pale but alive. Let's see how wrong they are," I said softly, for the first time in days. I stood up, walked to the mirror, and tied my hair back. I still looked broken, but maybe broken could become beautiful again. The cafe smelled like burnt espresso and rain-soaked streets. My hands trembled as I tried to wipe down the counter. The evening rush was gone, and I was grateful for the quiet until the bell above the door chimed. A man walked in tall, calm, with tired eyes that looked like they'd seen too much. "Sorry," I said, forcing a smile. "We're closing soon." He nodded. "Then I'll be quick." "Just a black coffee." "Sure." I poured it, nearly spilling. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. He noticed. "Rough day?" I tried to laugh. "Something like that." He took a seat at the counter. You look like someone who hasn't slept in a week. More like 2, I admitted. Caffeine's my only relationship right now. He smiled faintly. At least caffeine doesn't lie. The words hit harder than he probably meant them to. I froze, then said quietly, yeah, it doesn't cheat either. He looked up, studying me for a second. Someone hurt you. I shrugged. Is it that obvious? He leaned back. Only to people who know what it feels like. Something about the way he said it calm, not nosy, made me exhale for the first time all day. You too? I asked out. He nodded. Different story. Same result. We both fell silent. The sound of the rain against the glass filled the space between us. I focused on wiping the counter again just to have something to do. He broke the silence first. What did they do? I hesitated, then said, they turned love into a joke. He didn't ask for details. That's cruel. It was, I whispered. But I'm starting to think maybe I let it happen. He tilted his head. You blame yourself? Sometimes. I kept believing lies because it was easier than admitting I was being played. He stirred his coffee slowly. You don't heal by forgetting, you know? I looked up. What's that supposed to mean? It means you can't erase what they did, he said softly. You just have to prove they didn't destroy you. His tone was so steady it almost sounded like advice he'd given himself 100 times. I asked, did you prove it? He smiled without joy. Still trying. Something in me cracked open. How do you even start? He thought for a moment. You start by getting up tomorrow. Doing one thing that's yours, not theirs. That sounds simple, I said. It is, he said. Simple doesn't mean easy. I leaned against the counter, staring at the rain outside. I used to think I had everything figured out. Now I can't even trust my own choices. He looked at me with understanding. Then make new ones. I laughed softly. You make it sound like life comes with a reset button. Maybe not a reset, he said, but there's always a rebuild. I looked at his coffee untouched. You're an optimist. He chuckled. No, just someone who's tired of being broken. Something about his honesty felt safe real. You don't even know me and you're giving better advice than anyone I know. He shrugged. Maybe that's why it works. No history, no judgment. For the first time in months, I smiled without forcing it. You're not bad company, stranger. Ethan, he said, offering his hand. Not stranger. Lena, I replied, shaking it. His grip was firm, grounding. He finished his coffee, stood up, and left a few bills on the counter. Keep the change. And get some sleep, Lena. I nodded. I'll try. Before walking out, he looked back once. Don't try, he said quietly. Do. The door closed behind him. I stood there, still holding the cloth, realizing my hands had stopped shaking. Outside, the rain eased to a drizzle. For the first time since everything fell apart, I felt like breathing didn't hurt so much. I whispered to myself. Prove they didn't destroy me. And somehow, for the first time, I believed I could. Asterisk, the morning sunlight filtered through my new apartment window, warm against my face. I whispered to my reflection, I deserve peace. The words sounded steadier than before. At the cafe downstairs, Ethan waved from the corner table. You look less haunted today, he said, setting his coffee aside. Haunted? That's one way to put it. I smiled faintly. Maybe I'm just learning how to breathe again. He tilted his head. New job going well? Better than I expected, I said. My boss doesn't care about my past. Just my coffee skills. That's progress, he said. You used to talk like your whole life ended with him. I sighed. It felt like it did. But I guess heartbreak isn't the end, it's just a reset button. Ethan chuckled softly. Reset buttons are underrated. Most people never hit them. I traced the rim of my mug. It's hard to let yourself start over. Every time I unpack something, I remember how it used to be. The plates we bought, the blanket we shared. Even songs feel dangerous. Then make new memories, he said simply. You can't erase the old ones, but you can bury them under better ones. His calmness always disarmed me. You make it sound easy. It's not. But pretending you're okay is harder. I looked at him, really looked. You sound like you've done this before. He gave a wry smile. Let's just say I learned the hard way that some people aren't worth the wars we fight for them. I hesitated. What happened to you? Different story. Same battlefield, he said. Someone I loved decided I wasn't enough. Took years to stop blaming myself. There was a long pause. The cafe hummed with quiet chatter and espresso machines. How did you finally stop blaming yourself? I asked. I didn't, he admitted. I just started forgiving the version of me that stayed too long. His words hit deep. Maybe that's what I need to do, I said softly. Forgive the version of me who begged Daniel to explain. The one who believed Claire could never hurt me. He nodded. Exactly. You're not weak for loving wrong. You're strong for surviving it. I smiled, faint but real. You sound like a therapist. I'm just someone who's tired of pretending pain is shameful, he said. We all break differently. Later, back at my apartment, I scrolled through social media. Claire and Daniel's engagement photos flooded my feed, perfect smiles, expensive rings. For a moment, my chest tightened. But there were no tears. I whispered to the empty room, you don't get to own my heart anymore. The silence that followed didn't feel lonely, it felt earned. That night, Ethan called. You okay? I saw their pictures, I admitted. And I didn't break. Then that's something worth celebrating, he said. Coffee tomorrow? I asked. Only if you promise not to bring ghosts, he teased. No promises, I laughed. But I'll try. After we hung up, I sat on the balcony watching city lights flicker like tiny stars. My heart still ached, but it wasn't consuming anymore. It was just there. A reminder that healing wasn't about forgetting, it was about choosing myself every day. I looked at the horizon, breathed deeply, and whispered once more, I deserve peace. This time, I finally believed it. The envelope lay on my kitchen counter like a spark ready to ignite. White, gold-trimmed, elegant just like her taste. I tore it open with shaky fingers and read the names printed in perfect script. Daniel and Claire. My throat tightened. Out of courtesy, I whispered, almost laughing. How thoughtful. Ethan's name flashed on my phone. I answered, forcing lightness into my voice. Hey, you sound tense. Bad day? Let's call it ironic. I just got a wedding invitation. There was silence. Then softly, their wedding? The happy couple themselves. I stared at the card. She probably wants me to see how perfect they are. You're not going, are you? I smirked. Oh, I'm not giving them that satisfaction. I might frame it, though, just as a reminder of who not to trust. He chuckled quietly. That's one way to handle pain. It's not pain anymore, I said, surprising myself. Just clarity. I finally see them for what they are. I can hear it in your voice, he said. You sound lighter. Maybe I am, I murmured. For once, I'm not drowning in memories. Then I have an idea, he said. My firm's hosting a charity gala next weekend. Come with me. No strings, just a night out. A gala? That sounds dangerously fancy. He laughed. You'll fit right in. You underestimate yourself. I don't even own a dress fancy enough for something like that. Then buy one, he said. Something that makes you feel unstoppable. His words echoed in my mind all week. When Saturday came, I stood before the mirror in a deep emerald gown that shimmered under the light. My reflection felt like someone knew someone who'd survived the storm. When I arrived, Ethan's jaw actually dropped. Wow, remind me to breathe. I laughed, heat rising to my cheeks. You clean up well too. Ready to show the world what strength looks like? He asked, offering his arm. I think so, I said. Looping mine through his dot, the ballroom glowed with chandeliers and low music. Conversations buzzed, glasses clinked. For a while, I forgot everything, the betrayal, the tears, the nights of silence. I felt alive again, then I heard it, his voice. Daniel. My heart skipped, but only once. I turned. There he was, standing near the bar with Claire clinging to his arm. His eyes widened the second he saw me. Ethan leaned close. You okay? Perfect, I whispered. Claire's smile faltered when I walked past her. Lena, she said, voice sharp beneath her sweetness. Didn't expect to see you here. Life's full of surprises, I replied calmly. Congratulations, by the way. Thank you, she said tightly. We sent the invitation just to be polite. I know, I said, tilting my head. And I appreciate the gesture. It reminded me how far I've come. Daniel's jaw flexed. You look different. I feel different, I said. Turns out heartbreak's a great teacher. Ethan stepped beside me, his hand warm on my back. We should get to our table, he said smoothly. As we walked away, I caught Daniel's stare, confused, maybe even regretful. But I didn't care. For the first time, I didn't crave an apology. Ethan poured me a glass of champagne. You handled that like a queen. I'm done being anyone's victim, I said, raising the glass. Here's to peace and perfectly timed invitations. He clinked his glass against mine. To new beginnings. And as laughter filled the air, I realized something beautiful. Sometimes closure doesn't come from answers. It comes from finally not needing them. Asterisk, the moment I stepped into the ballroom again, I felt the shift. Daniel froze mid-conversation, his glass hanging uselessly in his hand. His eyes widened like he'd just seen a ghost. Ethan leaned toward me, whispering, "You okay?" "Perfect," I said, keeping my smile steady. I want him to see what peace looks like. Claire's fake laugh cut through the air. "Lena, you again?" she said, voice honeyed but sharp. "You're becoming a regular at these events." "Apparently success follows me," I replied smoothly. Ethan placed a hand on my back, the gesture protective but natural. "Clara, Daniel," he said politely. "Lovely evening, isn't it?" Claire's smile twitched. "Of course. Didn't expect you to bring company. Why wouldn't I?" Ethan asked lightly. "Lena's one of the most insightful people I've met. Mr. Collins thinks so too." Claire blinked. "Mr. Collins?" Before she could recover, the man himself approached, silver-haired, confident, exuding quiet power. "Ah, Lena," he said warmly. "Ethan told me you'd be here. I wanted to thank you again for your suggestions on my new project." "Sharp mind?" I smiled. "Thank you, Mr. Collins. I'm glad my ideas helped." Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Daniel's confusion deepen. He muttered, "You work with them." "I do," I said simply. "Move cities, new job, new life." Claire's hand tightened around his arm. "How nice for you." "It really is," I replied. Mr. Collins nodded approvingly. "Ethan's lucky to have such an insightful friend." He gave a courteous nod and moved on. As soon as he left, Ethan murmured near my ear, "You handled that like a pro." "I've had practice pretending I'm fine," I whispered back. "You're not pretending tonight." He was right. I wasn't. Later, while Ethan stepped away to greet a colleague, Daniel approached me, cautious, voice low. "Lena, can we talk?" I didn't even turn to face him. There's nothing left to say. "Please," he said. "I didn't think. That's your problem." I cut him off. "You never thought. You took everything good and made it rot." He looked wounded. "You've changed." "I had to," I said, finally meeting his gaze. "You broke me, Daniel, but I rebuilt myself better." He swallowed hard. "I didn't mean to hurt you." "Intentions don't erase consequences," I said calmly. "Enjoy your perfect life." When I turned away, Ethan was already waiting, eyes full of quiet pride. "You handled that with grace," he said. "Grace?" I laughed softly. "I call it survival." He smiled. "Sometimes survival is grace." Back at our table, Maya, my coworker from the new office, joined us. "Did I just see your ex trying to talk to you?" she whispered. "Unfortunately, yes," she grinned. "And you didn't throw a drink in his face?" "Proud of you." "I'm saving that kind of drama for fiction," I joked. Ethan leaned in. "You see his face when I put my arm around you?" "How could I miss it?" I said. He looked like someone realizing the door he slammed had locked behind him. Ethan chuckled. Sometimes silence hurts more than revenge. I stared into my glass, the bubbles catching the light. "You're right," I said softly. "And the best part? I don't even want revenge anymore." He nodded. "That's when you know you've healed." As music swelled around us, I felt it freedom. Not from them, but from the version of me that once begged to be loved. Daniel's stare no longer burned. It barely registered. I looked at Ethan, smiled, and whispered, "Let's dance." And as we stepped onto the floor, I finally felt like I belonged in my own skin again. My phone buzzed late at night. Daniel's name flashed across the screen. "Hey, just wanted to check if you're okay." I stared at the message, then laughed bitterly. "Concerned now, are you?" I muttered. The next morning at work, I told Maya. She nearly dropped her coffee. He what, after everything? Apparently, I'm now a charity case, I said. Guess guilt finally caught up to him. Maya scoffed. He's not guilty, he's bored. Don't fall for that checking in nonsense. I won't, I promised. But that night, another message came. You looked amazing at the gala. I didn't know you'd changed so much. I showed it to Ethan the next day. He frowned. He's testing you. Seeing if you'll still respond. I ignored him, I said. But it still bothers me. Ethan leaned forward. Because part of you wants closure? Maybe, I admitted. Or maybe I just hate that he still gets to disturb my peace. He nodded. That's how unfinished pain works. You've moved on, but the echoes stay. A week later, Claire called. I nearly didn't answer, but curiosity won. Her voice was sharp. You think you're clever, don't you? Texting Daniel behind my back? I blinked. Excuse me? Don't play innocent, she snapped. I know he's been messaging you. I laughed softly. Claire, if your fiancé's sliding into my inbox, that's your problem, not mine. You always wanted him, she hissed. Even now, you can't stand seeing us happy. Happy? I said. Then why are you calling me? There was silence, then a shaky breath before she hung up. I sat there, oddly calm. Later that evening, Ethan noticed my distant look. Let me guess, Claire? Bingo, I said, forcing a smile. She thinks I'm plotting some grand seduction. He chuckled. You? The woman who won't even reply to his texts? I guess peace doesn't look good on everyone, I said. He leaned against the counter. You need a break from all this noise. Come with me this weekend. To where? Mountains, he said simply. Fresh air, no cell service, no ghosts. I hesitated. Running away won't fix it. Maybe not, he said. But sometimes healing needs distance. I stared at him for a long moment before nodding. Okay, mountains it is. 2 days later, I was watching clouds drift over endless peaks, the air so clear it hurt to breathe. Ethan stood beside me, quiet, hands in his jacket pockets. Feels different here, he said softly. It does, I replied. Like the world finally stopped spinning. He smiled. You needed this, I did. I hesitated, then added, You always seem to know what I need before I do. He looked at me, eyes serious. That's because I listen. Something in his tone made my heart shift. Ethan, he didn't look away. You don't have to say anything. I just want you to know you don't have to carry your past alone. I swallowed hard. You've been there since the worst day of my life. And I'll be here for the best ones too, he said quietly. The wind picked up, brushing my hair across my face. For once, I didn't hide behind words or pain. I just let myself feel safe, steady, alive. I smiled faintly. You know, I think I'm starting to breathe again. He smiled back. That's all I wanted. As the sun sank behind the mountains, painting the sky gold, I realized something undeniable. Ethan wasn't just my friend anymore. He was my calm after the storm. The fire crackled softly, throwing golden light across Ethan's face. We'd been sitting in silence for a long time, just listening to the wind outside the cabin. He finally spoke, voice low. You ever wonder why we meet certain people when we're at our lowest? I stared into the flames. Maybe to remind us we're still alive. He smiled faintly. Or maybe to teach us what love should have been. My chest tightened. Ethan, he turned toward me, eyes steady. I'm not asking for anything. I just need to say this once. My breath caught. Say what? That I've fallen for you, he said simply. Not because I pity you. Not because I want to fix you. But because you make me want to be better. I froze, words tangled in my throat. You shouldn't say that, I whispered. I'm still broken. Then let me sit with your broken pieces, he said gently. You don't owe me love, you owe yourself happiness. I looked away, heart racing. You don't understand. When I loved before, I gave everything. And it almost destroyed me. He nodded slowly. Then maybe this time you don't give everything. You just give what feels right. I let out a shaky laugh. You make it sound so simple. It's not, he said. But neither is breathing after you've drowned. You still do it anyway. I turned to face him fully. You're not scared I'll never love you back the same way? His smile was soft. Love isn't a trade. It's a choice. And I'm choosing to stay even if you're still learning how to. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The fire popped, filling the silence between heartbeats. I don't know if I can do this. I whispered. You don't have to know, he said. Just feel. For once, don't think about what went wrong. Think about what could go right. Something inside me cracked open a quiet ache I kept buried too long. I used to believe love was supposed to hurt, I admitted. That pain meant depth. Ethan's eyes softened. And now? Now I think love should feel like peace, I said. Like coming home. He reached out, hesitant. Can I? I nodded. His fingers brushed mine warm, patient, real. It wasn't fireworks or chaos. It was calm. I don't want to be a rebound, he murmured. You're not, I said quickly. You're a reminder that I survived. He exhaled, relief flickering in his expression. That's enough for me. We sat there, the firelight dancing between us, our hands still intertwined. After a while, I whispered, Ethan, why me? You could have anyone. Because you don't pretend, he said. You feel everything deeply, even when it hurts. That's rare. I laughed softly. That's one way to describe emotional chaos. He chuckled. I call it honesty. The silence returned, but it wasn't heavy this time. It was full of meaning, of unspoken promises neither of us dared to name. When he leaned closer, I didn't move away. His lips brushed mine, slow and deliberate. Like he was afraid to break me, it wasn't the desperate kind of kiss I remembered. It was gentle. Steady, healing. When we finally pulled back, I whispered, that felt different. He smiled. Because it's real. Not perfect, not rushed, just real. My heart thudded softly. For the first time in years, it didn't ache, it bloomed. I rested my head on his shoulder, eyes closed. Maybe this is what healing looks like. Maybe, he said quietly. Or maybe it's what being found feels like. And as the fire burned low, I realized he was right. Healing wasn't about forgetting Daniel, it was about finding myself again, one heartbeat at a time. The news came one quiet afternoon while I was helping Ethan paint the kitchen. My phone buzzed 2 messages, both from old coworkers. Did you hear about Daniel? The first one said, my stomach twisted. I hesitated, then opened the second. Company under investigation. Fraud. Claire left him. Ethan noticed the color drain from my face. What happened? I stared at the screen. Daniel's company, it's collapsing. He's being investigated. He set the paint roller down. Do you want to sit? I shook my head. No, wow. Do you feel okay? I don't know, I said quietly. It's strange. I thought I'd feel something, anger, relief, maybe even pity. But all I feel is nothing. He gave a small nod. Maybe that's peace. Maybe, I murmured. Claire left him too. For his business partner, apparently. Ethan raised a brow. Guess karma keeps good records. I almost smiled. Yeah, life has a funny way of balancing things. He stepped closer. You don't have to pretend it doesn't affect you. I'm not pretending, I said. It's just I spent so long hurting because of him. Now he's the one being torn apart and I don't want to celebrate it. But I can't feel sorry either. That's growth, Ethan said softly. You stop letting him define your emotions. I looked up at him. Do you really think so? I know so, he said, wiping a smudge of paint from my cheek. You've rebuilt yourself. He can't touch you anymore. I let out a shaky laugh. I used to imagine this day him finally paying for what he did. But now that it's real, it doesn't even matter. He smiled. Because you already won. I frowned playfully. Won what? Yourself back, he said. And maybe a guy who paints badly but loves you endlessly. I laughed, the tension breaking. You really are terrible at painting. Hey, I'm improving, he said, pointing to the uneven patch of blue on the wall. That's art. That's a disaster, I teased. He grinned, then his tone softened. You know, I've been meaning to ask you something. I raised an eyebrow. That sounds serious. It is, he said, reaching into his pocket. My heart stopped as he pulled out a small velvet box. Ethan, he knelt, eyes steady. I'm not Daniel. I'm not perfect. I'll make mistakes. But I'll never stop choosing you. Every day, every version of you. My hands trembled. You're really doing this? He smiled nervously. If you'll let me. So, will you marry me? For a moment, the world blurred. The paint, the phone, the memories all faded. Yes, I whispered. Yes, I will. He exhaled in relief, laughing as he slid the ring onto my finger. You sure? You didn't even hesitate. I've done enough hesitating for a lifetime, I said. This feels right. He pulled me into his arms, spinning me once. You just made me the happiest man alive. I looked at the ring, simple and shining. It's beautiful. Not as beautiful as the woman wearing it, he said. I rolled my eyes, smiling. You're such a sap. Only for you, he said, pressing his forehead against mine. For the first time in years, I wasn't haunted by the past. Daniel's downfall wasn't my closure, this was. Standing here, paint-stained, laughing, loved, I whispered, I finally got what I deserved. Ethan looked at me curiously. What's that? The kind of love that doesn't break me, I said. The kind that heals. He kissed my forehead. Then let's spend forever keeping it that way. And as the sunlight poured through the half-painted walls, I knew life had come full circle. Karma hadn't just punished him, it had freed me. Asterisk, the morning light poured through the window, soft and golden. I stared at my reflection, adjusting the white dress that shimmered faintly under the glow. You look like a dream, Maya whispered, standing behind me with teary eyes. I don't feel like a dream, I said, half smiling. I feel alive. She grinned. That's even better. I touched the fabric gently. You know, I used to think white meant purity. Today, it feels like something else, rebirth. Maya squeezed my shoulder. Then let today be your first breath as the new you. I exhaled slowly, meeting my own gaze in the mirror. Goodbye, I whispered to the girl I once was, the one who cried over someone who didn't deserve her tears. Minutes later, the music began. My heart fluttered as I walked down the aisle, surrounded by faces that had witnessed my fall and my rise. Ethan waited at the end, his smile steady and warm. When I reached him, he whispered, You're breathtaking. Don't make me cry, I muttered. The makeup took forever. He chuckled softly, his thumb brushing my hand. The ceremony began, words flowing around me like music. Each vow, each promise felt like a promise not just to him, but to myself. To you, Lena, the doors burst open. Gasps rippled through the room. My heart slammed against my ribs. Daniel. He stood there, disheveled, desperate, his eyes red and wild. Lena, his voice cracked. Please just listen to me. Maya shot up from her seat. You shouldn't be here. He ignored her, stumbling forward. I had to come. I made mistakes. I destroyed everything. But I love you, Lena. I always have. Ethan's hand tightened around mine. My pulse roared in my ears. Daniel dropped to his knees, right there on the white aisle. Please forgive me. I can't live knowing what I did to you. I need you to forgive me. His voice broke completely. I couldn't speak. The room was frozen, guests whispering, cameras forgotten. Say something, Daniel begged, tears streaking down his face. Please, I've lost everything. Don't let me lose the only good thing I ever had. Ethan turned to me, calm but firm. You don't owe him anything. Those words cut through the fog in my mind like sunlight through storm clouds. I looked at Ethan steady, grounded, and then at Daniel, broken by his own choices. No, I said finally, my voice quiet but clear. I don't owe you anything. Daniel flinched. Lena, I'm begging you. You begged me once before, I interrupted, when you wanted me to trust you again. And I did. You used my love as a shield for your lies. You made me believe I was the problem. He shook his head violently. I was stupid, scared. You were cruel, I said. My voice trembled, but I didn't stop. You didn't destroy me, Daniel. You taught me how strong I could be when I had to rebuild alone. He sobbed openly. I just want you to forgive me. I already have, I said softly. But not for you, for me. So I could move on. His eyes widened. Then can we— No, I said, the words steady as stone. You don't belong in this chapter of my life. Silence filled the room. Ethan stepped forward slightly, his hands still on mine. It's time for you to go, Daniel. Daniel looked at him, then back at me, searching for something that wasn't there anymore. You really don't love me? I shook my head. I stopped loving the man who hurt me. I started loving the woman who survived him. He covered his face, sobbing, then turned and stumbled toward the exit. The doors closed behind him, the sound final and freeing. The air seemed lighter. Maya exhaled audibly. Someone whispered, "Good for her." Ethan leaned close. Are you okay? I am now, I said, smiling through tears. Thank you for not saying anything. For letting me speak. You didn't need saving, he murmured. You just needed space to stand tall. The officiant hesitated. Should we continue? I laughed shakily. Please. Before anyone else decides to crash. The guest chuckled softly, tension easing. Ethan squeezed my hand again as the vows resumed. When he said, I do, it felt like the universe exhaled. When I said it back, I wasn't promising a future free of pain. I was promising never to lose myself again. As the applause filled the room and Ethan kissed me. I whispered one last thing under my breath. Goodbye, Daniel. Goodbye to everything that almost broke me. And for the first time in my life, goodbye felt like freedom. The sun was slipping lower, casting gold over the garden. The ceremony was over, but I needed one last thing, peace. I saw Daniel standing near the exit, shoulders slumped, hands trembling. My chest tightened, not from love, but from the ghost of what used to be. He looked up as I approached. Lena, he breathed, eyes red and swollen. I didn't expect you to talk to me. I didn't plan to, I admitted, my heels crunching softly on the gravel. But I realized walking away wasn't enough. I needed to say this. He took a hesitant step closer. You looked beautiful up there. Happier than I've ever seen you. I am, I said simply. Because I stopped trying to fix what was never mine to fix. His throat bobbed as he swallowed. I ruined everything. I see it now. You didn't deserve what I did to you. No, I said quietly. I didn't. He flinched, eyes darting to the ground. I keep replaying it in my head. The lies. The way I let her convince me you were the problem. You don't have to explain anymore, I said. I used to need reasons, now I don't. He lifted his gaze. You really forgave me? I nodded slowly. I forgive you, but not for you, for me. Because holding on to the hate was like drinking poison and waiting for you to feel sick. Daniel's jaw tightened, his voice breaking. I don't know how to live with what I did. Then learn from it, I said. You hurt me, Daniel. You broke me in ways you'll never understand. But I rebuilt myself piece by piece. And now I don't need your apology to feel whole. He blinked hard, tears clinging to his lashes. Does he make you happy? Ethan? I smiled faintly. He doesn't complete me, he respects me. There's a difference. Daniel's lips trembled. She left me, you know, Claire, took everything and disappeared. I heard, I said softly. And I'm sorry it ended that way. But maybe now you'll understand how it feels to lose something real. He let out a bitter laugh. Karma, right? I met his gaze evenly. Karma isn't punishment. It's the mirror we're forced to face. He looked away, voice small. Do you ever think about us? Sometimes, I admitted. Not with pain anymore, just gratitude. You show me what love isn't. Without you, I might never have learned what it truly should be. He nodded slowly, tears finally spilling. You were always stronger than me. No, I whispered. I just learned to stop living in the wreckage. He wiped his face with shaking hands. I'm glad you found peace, Lena. I hope you find yours too, I said gently. But it won't be through me. The music from the reception drifted through the air, soft, distant, beautiful. Ethan's laughter echoed somewhere behind me, grounding me in the present. Daniel looked toward the sound, then back at me. He's lucky, he murmured. I hope he knows that. He does, I said. Because I finally know my worth and I don't settle for less anymore. He gave a small, broken smile. Goodbye, Lena. Goodbye, Daniel, I said. Take care of yourself. I turned away, each step lighter than the last. My heart didn't ache. My hands didn't shake. For the first time, I felt nothing but calm as I reached the archway. Ethan turned, his eyes finding mine instantly. You okay? He asked when I reached him. I am now, I said, exhaling. I think that was the last piece I needed to let go. He brushed his thumb along my cheek. You did it with grace. I spent too many years losing myself to pain, I replied. I wasn't about to lose my peace to pity. He smiled softly. Ready to go dance with your husband? The word husband made something inside me flutter, not fear, not doubt, but quiet joy. Yes, I said, smiling. Let's go. We walked back hand in hand, the evening breeze carrying laughter and the faint scent of roses as the first notes of our song began. Ethan pulled me close. What are you thinking? He whispered. I rested my head on his shoulder. That I finally understand, I said. Karma doesn't destroy, it rebuilds. It just needed time. He smiled against my hair. Then here's to what was rebuilt. To freedom, I whispered, and as we danced beneath the fading light, I knew the woman who once begged for love had vanished, forever replaced by someone whole, steady, and finally beautifully free.